Welcome, everybody. I'm Ryan Polrees, the founder of Money Act, and today we are going to talk about The Wizard of Oz and how it relates to the money system. It's actually got a lot of history and has a lot of relatable things that are happening in today's world versus the turn of the century, last century, 1900. And so the reason Wizard of Oz was written was to describe what was happening to the monetary system in the late 1800s. And so we're going to go through what initiated this. Now, remember, Wizard of Oz was first a book before it was a movie. And there are some subtle differences, but very important differences. And where it all stemmed from was the Coinage Act of 1873. It literally says in the Constitution that the only form of money is gold and silver. So obviously we've killed that off these days. But back then, they were trying to keep silver as money. And what this did was basically pit the working class, rural farmer type against the industrialist politician because they had more access to silver as money, whereas they viewed the wealthy that only had access to gold. And so they wanted to maintain that relationship where gold and silver was more linked to each other. And basically the Coinage Act of 1873 killed that off and just created a gold standard, which we would love nowadays. So it's gotten massively worse these days. But let's get into The Wizard of Oz. So The Wizard of Oz came out in 1900, and Dorothy represented that, middle-class, rural, down-home person. And then you've got the Scarecrow here, who represented that farmer who needed a brain because they didn't really understand what money was and how it worked. And I could link that today with most people don't understand how the money system works. And it was nowadays it's so convoluted and so complicated. They made it that way so that we're all scarecrows essentially. And then the Tin Man represented the industrialist, the heartless industrialist. And then the Cowardly Lion, he actually, if we go to this was actually representing the presidential election of 1896. William Jennings Bryan was considered the Cowardly Lion because he was supposed to represent the common people and continue to push for silver as a monetary basis linked to gold. And he totally screwed them over, said he was going to fight for them and then totally didn't. And so he was represented as the Cowardly Lion. And now we're going to go to this scene really quick, which is the Wicked Witch going after the ruby slippers. And then they appear on Dorothy. And there they are. So what this represents is initially in the book, the ruby slippers were silver. So they weren't actually ruby. The reason the filmmakers did this, obviously, is because it pops when they colorized this film. Silver would have been pretty bland, so they turned it to ruby. But the book, it was silver. And the reason for that is that Dorothy, she's the common person, that silver is what takes her and saves her to go back home. And then you've got, of course, the yellow brick road leading to the Emerald City, the yellow brick road, which obviously represents gold. And Oz is actually ounce, the abbreviation for ounce. So the Wizard of Oz is actually representing ounce. Emerald City is basically converting gold. I mean, this is a perfect metaphor right here, is gold is leading right into what we know today, which actually is now going away, which is cash, the greenback. And we can get into that in a bit. And then we've got this scene. So they've recovered, essentially, earlier scene, you've got them all meeting the Wizard of Oz. So Dorothy thinks she's going to this politician that's going to save her, and that's how she's going to get home. That's how all of these other figures are going to get what they lack. And of course, he screws them over. And first, he shows this thunderous, scary person. So they all fear this person. But then in this scene is classic representing the politician, or even the Federal Reserve, where the curtain's pulled back and it's just a guy moving some levers, having no idea what he's really doing. Classic metaphor, perfect. and so how does this relate to today? Well, today we've got the common man. Some of them, like me, want us to go back to a gold standard. But if we really go to the heart of it, we need gold and silver. Ultimately, they're both forms of money. It says it right in the Constitution of the United States. So that's where we should end up, back to what these people fought over in the late 1800s, to go back to the gold and silver monetary system. Of course, Bitcoin came to create a new form of money that is also electronic based, that is decentralized, so no central authority can print it out of nothing. The problem with it is it's super clunky. It's the first made, and it is extremely deflationary if there is, in fact, only 21 million ever made, which isn't good. And it also, in my opinion, it's actually extremely inflationary if you look at it another way, because of hard forks, and I've made videos on that as well. So maybe the future should be a gold, silver backed crypto. Who knows? A decentralized one, not a permissioned one that governments create. Decentralized, no one owns it. Obviously, that's very hard to do, but that could be the future. And maybe that's what we should be fighting for as the new Wizard of Oz. But I hope you enjoyed understanding and finding out what Wizard of Oz, probably one of the greatest movies ever made in the history of filmmaking, was actually about the money system. I also have a freebie for you in the comments below. If you click on that link, I will give you a free course that shows you how you can print and manufacture your own money by borrowing it into existence like the bankers do, and stack new income streams for yourself. Just click that link below, and I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be cranking out more of these informative videos for you. Thank you.